You find the note taped to your bathroom mirror before you've even had coffee. Your handwriting, your pen, still sitting in the cup by the sink where you left it last night. 6 words. You told him you'd come back. You didn't write this. You're almost sure you didn't write this. But it's your handwriting, slanted the exact way yours slants when you're writing fast. And underneath those 6 words is a date. A birthday party. 9 years old. A kid named Marcus from your old street who you promised at his 10th birthday party that you'd come to his next one too. You never went back. Your family moved that summer. You forgot about it within a month, the way every 9-year-old forgets almost everything eventually. You peel the note off the mirror, crumple it, and go about your morning like it's nothing. Because it is nothing. It's a decades-old promise made by a child who had no idea what a promise even cost. You have actual problems today. A car that's been making a noise for a week, a work deadline, a phone call you've been avoiding. The car doesn't start. You call for a jump. While you're waiting, you scroll through your phone and see the missed call you've been avoiding for 3 days. Your old college roommate, the one you promised, half drunk at his wedding 6 years ago, that you'd always be there if he ever needed anything. You never called him back. Ever. Not for the divorce he went through last year. Not for anything. The jump doesn't work. The battery's completely dead, the mechanic says, in a way that shouldn't be possible for a car this new. That night, another note is on the mirror. Not there when you left for work, there when you get home. Same handwriting. A different name this time. A teacher you promised in 8th grade that you'd write to over the summer. You never wrote a single letter. You start to feel something you don't have a word for yet. Not quite fear. Closer to the feeling of a bill arriving for a purchase you don't remember making. You do what anyone would do. You try to explain it away. Stress. Sleep writing. A prank somehow, though you live alone and the door was locked. You tell yourself the car thing is a coincidence, the notes are your own subconscious working something out, and none of it is connected to anything except your own overactive, guilty mind. Then a third note appears, and this time you're standing in the bathroom when it happens. You're not asleep. You're not distracted. You watch in real time as words begin to press themselves into the mirror's fog from the inside. Like something invisible is riding them from the other side of the glass. You still owe her the truth. This one you remember instantly, and it's worse than the others, because this one isn't a childhood promise made without understanding the weight of it. This one is recent. This one is a woman you dated for 2 years, who asked you directly at the end if you'd ever cheated. You told her no. You had. You let her walk away believing a version of the relationship that never actually existed, because the truth would have cost you something you weren't ready to pay. You start to understand the pattern now, even if you can't explain the mechanism behind it. Every broken promise you've ever made, everyone going back decades, buried under years of forgetting, is being called in. Not in order of size, in order of something else. Readiness, maybe. Whatever version of you exists behind that glass seems to know exactly which unpaid debt you're finally capable of facing. The car problem, you realize, was never really about the car. It stopped the exact morning after Marcus's note appeared, as if refusing to move until you dealt with what was in front of you. You test the theory, quietly, the way you'd test anything you're not ready to believe. You find an old email address for the teacher from 8th grade, and write the letter, 20 years late. It feels ridiculous. It feels necessary anyway. You send it before you can talk yourself out of it. The next morning, your car starts on the first try. That should feel like a relief. Instead, it feels like confirmation of something much bigger than you're prepared for. Because if fixing one broken promise fixes one small piece of your life, then the notes aren't going to stop. They're going to keep coming. Each one a little heavier than the last, until you run out of small, easy debts to pay and have to face the ones you've spent years building elaborate excuses around.
You start keeping a list, not because you want to, because you have to, if you're going to survive whatever this is with your life still intact. Small promises first. A friend you told you'd visit and never did. A sibling you promised to call every week and stopped after 2. You pay them off one at a time, and each time, something in your life that had been quietly breaking, a strained relationship, a nagging health issue, a project stalled for no clear reason, starts slowly to work again. But the list gets harder the further back you go. You reach the promise you made to your father the year before he died, that you'd take care of your mother. You have, mostly. Except for the specific thing he actually asked, the thing you've told yourself for years was implied, but never technically promised in those exact words. Because admitting you knew exactly what he meant and chose an easier version of taking care of her is harder than any note on any mirror. The note that shows up that night doesn't use his name. It doesn't need to. It just says, "You know which one this is." You sit with that note longer than any of the others. You don't crumple it up right away. For the first time since this started, you let yourself actually feel the weight of it instead of rushing to explain it away or fix it and move on.
Here's what you start to understand. Somewhere around the 4th or 5th note. This was never really about supernatural handwriting or mirrors with a mind of their own. Psychologists have a name for the quieter, everyday version of this same pressure. It's called the commitment and consistency principle. The well-documented tendency for a promise, once made, even privately, even to yourself, to sit in the back of your mind, generating a low, constant hum of psychological tension until it's either kept or consciously released. Most people carry dozens of these unpaid debts without ever noticing the hum, because it's quiet enough to live underneath everything else, day after day, for years. You just happened to get a mirror honest enough to turn the hum into something you couldn't ignore anymore. You call your mother that weekend and finally say the actual thing your father asked you to say. The version you'd been quietly avoiding for years by convincing yourself a softer, more comfortable version counted as close enough. It's an uncomfortable conversation. It doesn't fix everything overnight. But something between you loosens in a way that months of mostly taking care of her never managed to do. The mirror stays quiet for 3 days after that, long enough that you start to wonder if it's over, long enough that you almost let yourself relax. On the 4th night, one more note appears, different from all the others, shorter, and in a strange way, not accusing you of anything at all. There's one you haven't broken yet. Don't. You stand there a long time, trying to figure out which promise that could possibly mean, turning over every commitment you're currently holding, every person still waiting on something you told them you'd do. And slowly it occurs to you that maybe, for the first time in this entire experience, the mirror isn't calling in an old debt. It's warning you about one you're about to walk away from. Right now, this week, if you're not careful. Something you've already started quietly talking yourself out of, the exact same way you talked yourself out of all the others, all those years ago. One small, reasonable-sounding excuse at a time. You still don't know exactly what it means. That's the part that stays with you longest. Standing in front of a mirror that's finally gone still and silent, giving nothing else away. Every other note pointed backward at something already broken, something you could only ever repair after the fact. This one points forward, and forward is the only direction you actually still have any control over. You reach for your phone. There's a call you've been putting off all week. Nothing dramatic, nothing you'd even call a promise if someone asked you directly. Just a small thing you said you'd do. The kind of small thing that's so easy to let slide, you'd never even notice yourself doing it. You make the call before you can talk yourself out of it. The mirror doesn't write anything back. Maybe it doesn't need to.
maybe that was always the actual lesson underneath everything else. Not that broken promises eventually come due, but that the debt is smallest and easiest to pay in the exact moment before you decide to break it. You just have to be paying attention long enough to notice which moment that is. You check the mirror one more time before bed, out of habit now more than fear. Nothing. Just your own face, looking a little more tired than usual, and a little more like someone who's finally started keeping his word. You'll know for sure tomorrow. You always do.